Call the July meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. Could everyone please rise and face the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, John, could you call the roll?
Gary Corlew. Here. Tony Gross.
Here.
Jeff Loren.
Here.
Glenn Remick.
Here.
Bob Stover.
Here.
All right, everyone's in attendance. We have a quorum. We've got the minutes have been circulated for the June 15th meeting, and also our special meeting on the July 20th. As everyone had, or sorry, no, our special meeting. Shouldn't our special meeting minutes be on here?
Technically, yes.
Okay. Well,
They'll be on the next meeting.
they'll be on next month.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll just approve the minutes, I guess, for last month and not the special call. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. And then we have the agenda has been circulated. Everyone's had a chance to look over it, and there's been some last-minute changes to it, and I've got one more last-minute change to it, and that would be just to move everything down and make item A, Janet Walker. She's going to be speaking on the event surrounding the eclipse that they're having at the library tonight, and I wanted us all to be able to talk to her. So that's the only thing I have. Is there anything else? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda is amended.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. All right. And then announcements from commissioners. Do you have anything, Jeff?
I do not. I spoke with Lundy Cup yesterday, and he would like to address the board next month concerning the old man in the tree and proposals for what he can do to create a new wood carving.
A new old man?
A new old man.
Gary, you have anything?
No, I don't.
I'm good.
The only thing I would say is I hope we all have our thoughts and prayers out for Debbie Finch. She's our city manager that's not here tonight because Glenn's been put back in the hospital, and I think he's doing a little bit better today, but still not great. So keep her in mind and him. All right. Next is community input. Anybody that would like to speak to the board, now's the chance to do it. Just come to the podium, state your name and address, and then you're free to speak to the board. We've got a few people in here. I don't know if you're just here to watch or if you got something you want to say. Oh.
I'm Denny Elliott. My address is 1048 Ridgecrest Drive here in Kingston Springs, and this is a little bit out of character for me, but I wanted to, my wife and I, Carolyn, and I bought our home 13 years ago, moved here from South Nashville. We're both transplants into this area, me from Kentucky, her from the West Coast. And so making it a community our home, we are definitely qualified carpetbaggers. So moving down here and seeing what we saw as we lived and bought a home in South Nashville and lived there, we wanted to get away from that growth, that what Nashville has become in the last few years, as we see it happening every day when you turn the news on even more. I spent 28 years in public service. I'm a police officer currently, training supervisor for Williams County Sheriff's Office. So I have quite a good view of local government, having worked for, originally starting out in 1989 for a city just about like Kingston Springs, and a 5-man police department. Served 5 years as police chief, and I've gotten I've had a excellent career working in public service. I feel like I have a good understanding of that, what goes on here. The one thing that drew us to Kingston Springs to begin with was the community, the speed of the community, the fact that it was a community of kind of sleepy. And the thing that concerns us now at this point in time is the influx of some of the growth that we're seeing that's getting by us, that's improving. And I work for Williamson County, I know what out-of-control growth is. I know what it is to need 5 new schools built in 1 year. And so seeing that at the county side, that's it. We're concerned that our closeness to West Nashville, our closeness to Williamson County is going to creep this way. We see increasing numbers of signs from realtors, and we see the meetings that and the romancing of this board with the realtors that come into the community, the meetings with the developers, and I would caution you as our government officials to pay attention to the people who live here. Get into that community, talk to those folks, and see what we want, what we need, and what we feel like the growth of this community is. And we may find ourselves in the minority, but as we see the slow, controlled growth and the types of businesses that we want to see come here, I see some things that, for instance, like the dinner on the in the street, square, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. This town is ripe for a solid street type of festival, as we see in rural towns throughout the state of Tennessee. And this may well be something that we could develop and turn into an annual event. Think of who we're drawing, and think of who we want here. Is an alcoholic beverage in the street ordinance what we need? Is it specifically for this type of event? And when you start thinking about that, think about the pressure that you're putting on your own public safety. These folks are going to have to deal with anything that comes along with this. It can be done responsibly. Growth can be handled responsibly. And we would caution you and ask you to consider some of the folks in the community and really get a feel for some of us who are quiet. Like I said, this is not not what I do. I work for politicians. I'm not one. I don't like getting involved in politics. I don't like being where I'm at right here tonight. I'm more comfortable doing what I do. But this is our community. We came here for a reason. We're part of it. Paying taxes. We own a business that's headquartered here, and in addition to our own jobs that we have worked for throughout that time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I made a mistake here. I went through the commissioner announcements, and I skipped an agenda item under here from announcements under commissioners because we have PJ Duncan and James Parks here, and unfortunately for the town, they will be leaving us to focus their energies back fully on Pleasant View. But both of them have at various times, most recently James, of course, and before that PJ served as our building and codes inspectors, and they've done a fantastic job. Really, in the time that they've done it, they've worked their way into the community, always been really willing to work with people. I always tell people with you, James, and I'm sure with you too, PJs, is these two fellows, they're really about education. And they're really about education when it comes to helping people through issues with codes. So they always approached every kind of issue that they came up with in the community with respect, and they treated the people in a way not to kind of come down on them hard, but to say, hey, this is the problem, this is how you fix it, this is why this is dangerous, and we don't want you to be in a dangerous situation, we want you to be in a safer situation. So that all being said, that's why I really appreciate the work you all have done for us, and I know in this transition time you're going to help us a little bit, and we really appreciate that too. And I believe we have some plaques for you here for our show our appreciation for the work you've done. So,
Just want to take a picture.
should we get some?
Sure. You want front?
You want to step down?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and get down, I guess, and hand this over to you guys. It's a long way back to Pleasant View, so we didn't want you to have to stick around here because you might see our meeting packets are about that thick, I think, tonight. So, but thank you so much for the service you've done. And thanks, James. It's been a pleasure working with you. You've been the guy here some time I've been here, so I think John's going to get a picture.
Oh, yeah. And we'll definitely help you out through the transition. So.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And gentlemen, if you wish to run for the doors, now's the time. Again.
You don't have to. You can always say we always like to have some
Thank you,
folks stick
goodbye.
around and talk to or watch us talk. But all right, department reports, legal updates, and we've got quite a few of them. So I'll turn that on over to you, Martha.
Okay, legal update number 1, Greater Dixon franchise. I got a call last week, just to refresh your memory, franchise with Greater Dixon Gas is up. They presented an ordinance, asked for a few tweaks, and a few confirmations, for example, that their road bond and all was still in place.
Excuse me,
Yes,
you got out of place, you got out of place.
Oh, I did.
You put A in, Janet in above.
Oh, I put her actually under new
Sorry.
business. Yeah. So we'll get there in a second.
different A.
I did skip the
Oh,
department
really?
reports. I don't think we have
I was
anything
wrong
that
place.
anyone wants to add to department reports.
No problem. No problem.
We're good.
And I had been in communication with Jerry Smith, he's an attorney in Dixon that represents Greater Dixon Gas. And if you recall the last meeting, I told you I wound up just sending him a letter requesting our changes. He called me last week, said that he was fine with the changes I had requested for Kingston Springs and would be sending me the revised document. As of today, it had not come. He sent me the one. I'm also Pilgrim City Attorney had requested changes there. I got theirs in the mail, but I hadn't got Kingston Springs yet, so I'm still
Okay.
waiting to hear that. So that's the update there. The Franklin settlement agreement, that has all been resolved. He's paid his fine to the town. We've recorded the restrictions against residential use for that accessory structure. So that has all been resolved as well. Item C, there has been a recent change to state law concerning carrying weapons on city property. I know you all received a memorandum about that from Attorney No. We had some discussion about just where exactly guns were prohibited and where licensed permit holders could now carry the guns. The gist of it is if you are a city and you don't provide a metal detector or someone who can scan someone coming in, you cannot prohibit a licensed permit holder from bringing their weapon into into public buildings, with certain exceptions. For the town of Kingston Springs, this room would be an exception. In other words, handguns would not be permitted because it also serves as a courtroom. Additionally, the main building over there would also be prohibited from even handgun permit holders coming in, because that is where our police department is located, and that falls under the exemptions. Your city park and the activity center there, however, are not exempted from that. The only time parts of the park would be if a specific field was being used by the Board of Education for a school function athletic event. That'd be the only time it would be exempted. I did notice when I was reading through the packet, we had copies of the rules and regulations for the reservation of the Burns Activity Center, and I noticed that there was a prohibition on firearms in those rules, so we need to work with Brandy to get that revised to reflect the change in the current law. Any questions over that?
We have the whole discussion too about changing the signage and everything like that. Now when this legislation was passed 2 or 3 years ago, initially it was supposed to be budget neutral, and the way they did that is they said literally in the legislation you don't have to change your signage at all. We did change our signage because it's kind of disingenuous to have that and not have it. So what changes do we need to make now? I suppose that would include the activity center, and
the ones that are on the front of the building out there, for example, I think are sufficient, because I believe it says handguns are prohibited pursuant to Tennessee law, and I think that's sufficient. For the parks, if I recall correctly, you have kind of the same wording, but then you have a posting of what the law is, so that because the handguns have been permitted at that point anyway. So I will double check that, and I'll physically go
seems like
that sign.
that should be fine because of that, except for maybe the changes to the language in the.
Right, and we may need to change, where we said, licensed handgun permit carrier and other persons as permitted by law, something along those lines. Because what this bill has also done is it has placed liability on the city for if we do not allow someone to carry their handgun in and they're lawfully permitted, they could then sue the city, get attorney's fees, etc.
Yeah.
So, we want to make sure that our
And I suppose the other thing that always comes up is just an issue with this, and I think we've somewhat resolved it just by virtue of, like, you know, no one said anything about it. But with the school groups, I've always been concerned about that. Who's responsible for knowing if there's a school group there? Is that our responsibility? Are we supposed to know and say, like, at this time you can't have handguns here? Because we do have school groups there. So should we have the schools registering with the city to make sure that they're down there
I would
or
think
not?
if they're reserving the fields,
Okay.
then
But
I
what if
think-
they just go down? I mean, because sometimes one thing we run into, and no offense to Williamson County over there, but a lot of times with our splash pad, a school bus that says Williamson County just pulls up and kids are on it. So I don't know, but they don't tell anyone.
Right,
Should they?
They just show up.
Yeah.
You know, it might not hurt to ask them if you were wanting to make a prohibition against, you know, the carrying of guns in that area, you know, in that specific area
Okay.
where those kids are. You could just contact those that you have seen using it and just say, we'd love for y'all to use it, but so that we can be in compliance with some of the other laws, will you give us just a heads up?
Just give us a heads up.
And then, you
Okay.
know, we may look at doing some kind of temporary sign that says this is in use for this activity pursuant to law. And that's
What about just simply, does it have to be a school event, or can it be on Saturday morning soccer league? I mean, that we have.
It's
It has to be a
specific to the
school.
Board
It
of
has to be a
Education.
school. Okay.
So, and I'll have to look, Mayor, because the splash pad, I don't know if it would qualify as an athletic field or not. I'll have to look at the specific language of the statutes for that.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I didn't
you
know
would
that.
think it
Yeah.
would be the same premise, but I'll look. Sure.
Okay.
And then the utilities training bill, that is also more legislation that has passed requiring, and I think you all have a copy of the nuts and bolts of that in your packet, requiring now those members of boards who serve, who act as wastewater treatment boards, sewer boards, example, have to now have training. When you're initially elected, or now that this is coming in place, you'll have to do an initial 12-hour training, and then you have to have 12 hours of training over the next 3 years. And that's in different areas related to finance and ethics and things like that. And that is just something that the legislature has passed this year that you all will be required to do.
What boards do we have that this would apply to? I don't think we have one, do we?
The sewer board, wastewater treatment,
Okay. Do we have?
which comes under y'all's purview, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
so-
it would be you.
So it would be us.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have a separate board for that, so.
No. So we'll have to. So this would apply to all incoming. So it
You all, because it's been enacted, will have to do it, and then after any election, any subsequently elected new person
we'll have to do it as well.
12 hours.
Okay.
So, and I think the comptroller is going to be doing regional areas of training to help kind of offset some of the cost of that.
All right. Is that everything?
That's it
All
for
right.
right now. I'll come back to you in order.
Unfinished business, an update on the dedication of Fire Station Number 1 to Marvin Ray and Bob Crouch, sign and reception cost, and I think we passed a budget for this last time, correct?
You did.
And-
In your current packet, there's a small rendering of what the signs will end up looking like. There'll be one on Fire Station 1 and one on Fire Station 2. Similar to the signs, similar to the style and size of the signs that are on Fire Station 1 right now. So it's just a matter of ordering them.
Okay, and we need to set a date for that, I assume.
Yes, we'll see how long the production time takes when we order them, and then we can set a date after that. That's all right.
Maybe be in contact, Bubba's not here, but be in contact with the Crouches on that. Okay. All right, on to Glenn's project, an update on the Welcome to Kingston Springs signs. So,
In a previous meeting, we had discussed having a contest for a town slogan, since the previous slogan was taken off of the Welcome to Kingston Springs signs. It's something that we could do, we could add to the sign, something that we can put on the website, something we can use in our marketing and internal communications. So what you've got in your packet is sort of an initial draft of a contest that we could have, probably supported through social media, flyers at the library, at a couple of the restaurants or establishments around town. Has rules on the back, there were several communities that I found across the country that have done this before, and I kind of borrowed some of their specifics when I made these rules and regulations. I haven't run them by Martha Brook yet, and I'd like to do that before we finalize anything, but I put that together just as an idea of how we could proceed if it was okay with the board.
Okay. Well, I think it sounds like an exciting plan. Do you have any input on this, Glenn?
No, I think it's amazing. I appreciate John doing all the work that he has to do this. This looks fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right, second reading of ordinance 17-004, amending the employee's work policy for inclement weather. We went through this a lot at the last meeting, of course. We had no policy really in place, and this is going to, I guess, give John a little bit more solid grounds to work with. Do we have a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion to approve work ordinance on second reading.
Second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, motion passes. All right. D is second reading of ordinance 17-005 that levies a tax on privilege of occupancy of a hotel. This is, of course, the hotel tax that the legislature put through for us this year. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 17-005?
Motion to approve ordinance 17-005.
Mayor, if I could jump in real quick, I
Yes.
just want to note that it is as amended from y'all's prior approval. There were additions to that.
The additions would have been the addition to have it collected by the town and setting the rate, correct? Because the rate was set at 5% on the original draft, and it's 2.5%.
And then we actually added the provisions, definitions of what consideration was. This was a late add-in this week as I was preparing this week and realized we didn't have the mechanism. We talked about the city need to collect it. We did that change at the meeting last time, but then it occurred to me and Debbie as well, we didn't actually have the actual mechanism in place, so I have added that in.
Okay.
So that I just wanted the record to reflect that it is with the amendments that are present in your packet tonight.
So do we have a motion as amended to approve ordinance 17-005?
Motion to approve ordinance 17-005 as amended.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, on to new business, and the first item is Miss Janet Walker from our fabulous library.
Clipsing all others.
I did bring gifts, and these are very highly sought after. I leave them with John because I got 10 pairs of viewing glasses. And I did check the NASA site to make sure they're the approved. Evidently, there's fake solar eclipse glasses out there.
Are those people going to be blind?
Well,
We'll find out August 22nd.
And will
when
that
I
be
was
more
a
comfortable?
teacher, I thought, okay, having the kids and the responsibility, there's always one student that you say not to do something, and they are for sure going to do it. So I think maybe the school district deciding not to have school that day would have been the best. I said it's very hard to make plans when the school district changes theirs. But, well, first off, this summer marks my 10th year at the library, so that's exciting.
Congratulations.
Today was our grand finale. I tell you, I felt like a puddle by the end of the day. It was very hot, and I imagine 2 weeks from today when we have our program, it will be also hot. But as you may have read in the paper or seen on Facebook, we will have Lisa Spencer from Channel 4 weather. In fact, I have to tell a quick story. How I got in touch with Lisa was she does this back deck live Facebook, and I was having lunch one day. So I was going through Facebook and emails, and I just said hi from South Cheatham Library in Kingston Springs, and she kind of gave a shout back and said, hi, Janet. Then afterwards, she sent me an email, and she said, do you like to have guest speakers? Which, of course, everybody knows I love to have guest speakers. So I said, yes. So she's coming in September to actually do a story time. Well, last week, a couple of weeks ago, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have her come and do an education program? So we've got her coming, and we've all got T-shirts at this, aren't those Amazon?
Isn't that great?
You can find anything on Amazon. So we all have T-shirts to wear. We actually bought one for her. But she's coming on the 3rd. And, of course, we wanted to do it because we thought school would be in session that day. We wanted to do something before school started to, especially safety and education. This is a once in a lifetime, unless you live somewhere where the 2024 one will pass over you. This is probably for most of us the only total solar eclipse we're going to see. Oddly enough, I was in California over the weekend, and they don't know anything about the solar eclipse coming. My brother's like, what are you talking about? So I said, well, it must be a Middle Tennessee thing. But they are expecting lots of people to come. And so it's an exciting thing for us to do. So the Friends of the Library, we're going to put on this solar eclipse program. We're going to have, of course, Lisa Spencer. We're going to have some games and activities. We're making moon pizzas. We're having moon pies. We've got an ice cream truck coming. And it's probably going to be a really hot day, but I think we'll have a really good time. And I just thought this might be a great opportunity. I don't know what the town is doing because I've tried to complement, not compete, with whatever the town had planned. And I know that that's been a little nebulous. But I wanted to offer the opportunity, and I don't know how that would look, but for the town of Kingston Springs to kind of partner with us on this, because I think we've got 300 pairs of free glasses. At this point, we do not plan, though, to give them to any children that are in the Cheatham County School District because they're going to get them. So we did not see that that would be a good use of kind of a limited resource. So, but we will be giving them to other people's, adults, homeschool children, preschool children that will not be given free. I went home about 2 weeks ago and my husband goes, guess what? I just bought 5 pairs of solar viewing glasses for $10. And I said, guess what? I just got 200 for free. And since I've gotten 100 more. And then he's like, are you sure that they're the improved viewing glasses? So I have double checked it. But, so I kind of wanted to offer that to the town, maybe monetary, or we would love to have anybody come out and help that day. It'll be 10:30 to probably about 12, I would say. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there as, you know, kind of a joint effort. Since we do a lot as joint efforts, it's a blessing to be in this town and have so many people that support us. And so that's just something I wanted to throw out there and give you the opportunity to join in on. So questions or comments?
We don't have any glasses, do we? We don't need, the city's
Yes, I have.
project. You're talking about on the 21st.
The city,
Yeah.
well, and I think what maybe Janet's getting at too is this is an opportunity because we have talked about doing something. I believe we have a little something planned for down at the park here.
We do. Brandy and I had made some initial plans, and we found out this week that the Cheatham County Schools will actually be out that day.
That day.
Yeah,
So,
which is, it's hard to plan when they keep changing.
Right, so I think they'll be out. So Brandy and I have set to meet Monday, and we're going to revise our plans since it seems like there will be more people available than in town. So Janet and I have talked a little bit before, and so we'll plan to piggyback off of what they're doing and kind of revise our plans this week.
Excellent.
So is there, Bob, do you have anything? I mean, I know this
No.
was kind of one of your things. I think it's a great thing that they're doing at the library too. It's going to be a really
and that's
exciting
the
thing.
3rd,
it's on the
right,
3rd at
August 3rd,
10:30.
yes, 2 weeks from today.
And so, and I know Janet had mentioned in our conversation, maybe, is there anything you'd like the town to specifically do, or is there any way you can see we could help out,
We're
or
going to be providing all the,
do we need-
the food for the
Okay.
pizzas, the moon pies. We will have an ice cream truck, and we were kind of maybe thinking we would love to be able to offer everything for free for the people that come, and at least for all the children. And so we thought that it might be helpful to at least get maybe, we're going to put out a donation bin also, but if we had a little monetary help to maybe help cover the ice cream for the kids or something like that. But again, just even physical help, having people out there that are available to come and be, you know, boots on the ground, if you will. It takes a lot to put on a program that attracts a lot of people, and you know, more than my staff that's available.
Mm-hmm.
I can help for about 90 minutes.
That'd be great.
I will be there. I don't know if there's any. Do we know, John, if any staff would be available to be out there to maybe help out? Like,
I'm thinking that we could get at least a couple of people there, yes.
Well, I might need traffic control too.
10.
Work with other.
Okay.
Great. Thrilled.
Thank you very much, and I sure appreciate the support. You know, we're about to get our shed, so we went through the permit process on that. Our shed should actually go up tomorrow, and we're going to be having security lights on our security cameras on the library that point over both of the entry doors and onto the parking lot. And that's something that I have really wanted for a couple of, more than about 5 years now. And so it's nice to start getting that in on people counters. Just as a little funny fact, we keep a lot of statistics, and one is Wi-Fi users. And the month of June, 956 Wi-Fi users
Oh, wow.
at the library. We have software that counts it. And when we started counting, we used to just do tally marks when we saw people using a wireless device. And then when we put the software in last year, it turned out we were only getting 20% of what the actual total use was.
Some people are standing outside, right?
Well, and of course, I'm not there on most weekends or at night. We get evidently a lot of people that will come in and use it, you know, on their way home from work or late night, or it's quiet away from the family and kids, and they can do all that. So that's kind of a fun, exciting thing. So thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Janet.
I sure appreciate it.
It was like hearing the updates from the library. All right, item B, I guess, is the agreement between the University of Tennessee, or MTAS service, and the town of Kingston Springs for a sewer rate study. It's something we discussed at retreat, and I think it's going to be a very positive thing for us to get taken care of. A copy of it. Do you have anything you'd like to say in addition to what I just said, John?
Yeah,
Or-
that's basically.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agreement?
Motion to approve the agreement.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Item B is, or sorry, C, I'm off completely now. Is the approval to write off 2 additional uncollected sewer bills for Doris Bradley, $36.21, Thomas Sanchez, $83.35, for a total of $119.56. Do we have a motion to write these 2 off?
Motion to write those 2 off.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. What? E, sorry, is the approval to amend the CSX transportation. Oh wait, sorry. No, I've skipped one. My alphabet is upset because of you, Janet.
She should have been like she should have been AA. You know, she could just make the
I should have made a double A up there. Okay, I'm just going to go with it.
Go with what's
C. We'll just go with continue read this way. Okay. Request to have the building permit fee waived for the Harpeth Youth Athletic Association in the amount of $128. Something that I think we've done in the past for this sort of thing for the school.
Yes.
Motion to approve. I guess
Motion to
we have
approve,
a motion
please.
second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. D, approval to amend the CSX transportation agreement. This applies to the parking lot out here. As it is, you guys all know the current uses for the parking lot, because we don't own the parking lot. It's actually owned by CSX. It can be used for parking, and it can be used for fire training under the current contract. John has reached out to CSX and looked into some other options for using it. I'll let John go further into that, and you've got your emails here too.
Actually, Debbie and I had talked about where the farmer's market is located currently and potentially future other options for either moving the farmer's market or having other farmer's market events in a different location. The parking lot that Tony described across the street here came up in conversation. So I reached out to CSX Property Management, was able to work with them for this amendment to our current lease agreement that specifically allows us to hold farmers market events at that lot. So it adds one other usage for that lot for us. We don't plan to move the farmers market. I believe this year we're hoping to have a nighttime farmers market during the week, say from 5 to 8 or 4 to 8. The lot is lit. There are 52 parking spots in that lot. We can easily get 20 tents and still have parking for probably 20 to 30 cars. So CSX was very open to allowing us to use it as long as we did not have any permanent structures there. Their only caveat was they would like us to put some sort of temporary barricade between the edge of the lot and the grass that leads up to the railroad tracks, just to make sure that people were fully aware that they were not to go beyond that point. And we have those kind of barricades here in town that we can easily use.
And I think this is a great idea. Now, one thing I will always add to this is I have a particular attachment to where the farmers market is right now, so it would be my hope in the future, because I think we have that great piece of land there that we're very limited in what we can use it for, and I like the fact that we were able to find a way to use it that everyone can really enjoy in the town, and it also is so close to many of our residents as well. But I think this is great that we'll open up another option for the city to use that area there.
Another facet.
It's a very underused section. I think, do we still have the ladder truck parked out there now?
It got fixed, it got work done yesterday.
Got worked on, so they got it. All right. So do we have a motion to approve this contract change?
Motion to approve the amendment to the
Amendment contract.
CSX transportation agreement.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? All right. Item E is the approval of the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund to prepare a resolution request for a new loan, and this is for our third sewer lagoon that is much needed, and also is a requirement of some current from the state for us right now. And of course, we looked at all the different possibilities we had, and of course, last month you recall Debbie brought us all the price options we had, and this was really the lowest rate we could get for doing that, and it's quite good rate. So do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. F is approval of interlocal agreement for dispatch services to the town of Kingston Springs. John, do you have anything you want to say about this?
This is an agreement that had been in place, but the paperwork behind it was not in place.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct. This is, a couple of things here. Yeah, we had basically a verbal agreement with 911, the Emergency Communications District, as to provide dispatch services for the town, fire, police. Basically, it's my understanding from the way everything and operating conducted over the years is that Kingston Springs pays for its access to the NCIS, TCIS utilization. We could not find a copy of the agreement, and so I have drafted up an agreement that just memorializes what you all have been doing over the years. In full disclosure, I am also the 911 attorney as well. I brought this up at their meetings. They were fine with me drafting an agreement, didn't see a conflict with me just putting in writing what you all have in place. So there would also be an authorization, in addition to signing this, that you all would just sign an agreement acknowledging May Mark Burke is the attorney for 911 and we waive the conflict of interest on her preparing this document.
All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Have something going?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. G, approval of updated park facilities application and approval of new rates. And of course, once again, this gets into, this also includes, we're going to have new language as well for the firearms aspect of that as well. So everyone had a chance to look that over. It's something, once again, we discussed at retreat because of kind of tweaking this process a little bit in the rates. Do you have something, John?
If I may, there were two elements to this. One was trying to make it more efficient for staff by combining multiple forms that we're using that encompass about 15 pages worth of rental forms into a more succinct document that is easier for staff to use and easier for the public to understand when they're trying to rent either the activity center, a pavilion, or one of the ball fields. The second element is to streamline the pricing process, specifically of the activity center. There were a lot of different layers and sub-layers and a la carte items that were involved in the activity center pricing structure that were just never used. So we've tweaked the pricing per day because it was set for Sunday and Monday, or
Sunday and Wednesday.
Sunday and Wednesday, Saturday and Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and perhaps Monday were different prices. So there are multiple tiers of pricing. As you can see, as we've laid it out in the current structure and the projected revenue and the proposed structure and the projected revenue, if we continued as we are to the date, that even with the change in pricing structure, that we would still not lose any money for the town by renting the facility. But it will make it a lot easier for everybody to understand as we move forward around it. This was really a first blush at taking multiple forms and combining them into one and streamlining the pricing structure. Would like to get with Martha Brooke or Jennifer to make sure that we've still captured all of the legal requirements for these rental forms as we move forward before we find it.
Well, I think it's a good idea, and I like the way that this has been set up to simplify it. I mean, I've rented it before. It's kind of a daunting thing because we made it kind of very, very complicated. I understand the reason why that all happened around the time period because it was a new thing. We never had done it before. There was some will on the board at the time to do certain price structures, but I think now that we've observed it for a really good long while, I think especially with the staff looking at it, they've had a chance to really kind of take in how it's been rented, and now it's time to, with observation, make the changes that hopefully will make it a more streamlined process. So, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, and then item H is changes to the city park signs to regard firearms. And we had some brief discussion of this. Do you have something else you'd like to add to that?
No.
Okay.
I'll review that and we'll
Okay, so we just need to move on from that. There's nothing really to approve there, I don't think. So I think that I feel like our signs in the parks are, aside from the activity center, possibly, are pretty well in compliance because Larry spent a pretty good while making sure that we did that despite the fact the state code said we did not have to. So
I think for some reason I was here that.
You may have been,
I
yeah.
was, but I think I was, and I remember being very detailed on that.
So. All right, item I is approval to add a stop sign to create a three-way stop at Park Street, entrance to Burns Park. And this was something that came up at our last meeting. We had a concerned resident that lives over there speaking of it, and I think it's a pretty good idea. There's a lot that there are kids out there on those sidewalks. I come home from lunch every day and see kids out walking, for whatever reason out there, and it's right by the park, and people just blow through there. So this would be hopefully a good way to kind of start slowing some of that down. What do you think, TC?
Oh, yeah.
You think so? Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Item J. Can you get us?
We've never had a J.
We've had some pretty far down. I don't know. We're running out of alphabet tonight, definitely. So. All right. Authorize the city manager to negotiate with Plans and More to amend the current professional service agreement to include the issuance of building permit services and fees. This is all part of a very convoluted thing that's been going on for a few weeks, and I don't know if someone else wants to explain it. You guys got the email. Debbie really outlined, I think, in red in that email what was going on. But as you all know, it's very difficult for a town of our size with very limited codes enforcement and permitting needs to employ somebody to do that. So we've been trying. I mean, I've talked to Debbie and John about this for hours, so I'm sure that the time that they've spent been exponentially greater than that, trying to find a workaround for this. And I think we finally have something in place. But this, as our codes are now, we can't actually do that. We can't split that position of a codes person and allow the nuisance ordinances to be looked at by the police and things like that. So what this is going to allow us to do is to kind of split that up so that we can fill that void of James and PJ no longer being with us.
So
give it.
you would have, as you say, we've got a couple different things going on. Our building inspector served the purpose of inspecting building codes, doing building code notices, nuisance code notices, and issuing building permits. And so the first thing that you see there with respect to plans and more, what that is, and I don't have a copy of the resolution in my paper, what that is basically a resolution authorizing the city manager to hire plans and more, or whatever entity, to do the legwork, so to speak, to put packets together for building permit issuances. And then that will be signed off on by Pleasant View Volunteer Fire Department that is still currently serving as our building inspector until we get ours certified and in place. Franklin Wilkinson with Cheatham County will be doing our codes inspection through a kind of like a mutual aid agreement, if you will, that we've had in place for some time. And so that will cover that. And then you've got the ordinance in front of you, ordinance 17-006, that is specifically taking the nuisance code violation, talking about, overgrown yards, stagnant water, that kind of thing, taking that out from the building inspector's purview and allowing the city manager to designate whomever, police officers, to go and actually be the eyes on the ground. I think you would actually be issuing the red tag, and I think that's kind of how she was thinking that would work. But it would allow, it would allow the city manager to make those designations, because state statute only requires it to be a public officer. It doesn't have to be certified like the building inspector.
We're going to make you the bad guy again, TC. He doesn't mind. All right, so the first item here, Jay, is to authorize the city manager to negotiate with plans and more. This is basically allowing us, the city manager, to designate our planner to also issue the permits. So do we have a motion to approve that, to authorize plans and more?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, K is first reading of ordinance 17-006, amending the Kingston Springs Municipal Code, section 13-105.2, designation of public officer or department. So this is in regards to the nuisance codes. Do we have a motion to approve on first reading 17-002? 6?
Motion to approve on first reading.
I think we've already done 6. So.
17-006.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes. Item L is first reading of ordinance 17-007, amending the Kingston Springs Municipal Code, Title 11, Chapter 1, Section 11-101, drinking of alcoholic beverages and open containers on streets. And I'll let you explain this, but this is a very, very limited scope amendment to this ordinance, and it only allows it for specific events, and they have to be sanctioned by the city. But
Right. And the next ordinances all tie into this, and so I'm going to talk about them collectively. The one amending Title 11, that is under your law enforcement section of the code, where it prohibited open consumption in the streets, open containers. So this basically amends it to allow for the consumption, possession on the streets of Kingston Springs only during events that are sponsored or co-sponsored by the town. So technically right now, the way the codes are, somebody could walk up and down a street. I'm sorry, I'm confusing that with the other one. So we are amending the law enforcement provision of it to where the open containers are allowed, for example, example, during the dinner on Main event, because that will be on a public street. It will also allow you all to set it's a special event zone. So if we outgrow dinner on Main and have to make it dinner in the park or whatever, it gives you flexibility in the future to set where these special events will be, or if we have an additional event later on in the future. So then you also have the amendments to your section 8, being chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 dealing with beer, and chapter 2 dealing with alcoholic beverages. And again, it is allowing for that to be sold and possessed and consumed on public property if it is during a special event that has been approved by this board and where the special event zone has been set up, those parameters. So it's very narrowly tailored. I looked at some of when I was drafting these, because I knew y'all's concerns about making it very narrowly tailored. I looked at cities that I knew had events. For example, Maryville has an event in October of each year where they consume on the streets, and a few other cities like that. And so I kind of looked at what they had and used that to kind of guide us here. But I did try to tailor it very narrowly. So you will, when it comes time for us to do the dinner on Main, you will, in your August meeting, will need to pass a resolution that will specifically define the parameters of where this event will be, and that's where the alcohol can be served. Now, it still has, with respect to wine and high alcohol content beer or craft beer, that still has to be done in conjunction with the rules of state statute, and ABC controls that. And then, of course, our beer ordinances control. And we just need to make sure, too, John, I'm just thinking out loud here, that we measure off from the church, because we still have prohibitions against serving certain distances from the church.
Correct. All right. Do we have a motion to approve on first reading ordinance 17-007?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion?
Can I ask you a question? Is that live?
Theoretically, no.
Okay.
Without suspending the rules. So, all right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Item L is first reading of ordinance 17-008, amending the Kingston Springs Municipal Code, Title 8, Chapter 1, Section 8-108, sale and consumption of beer during certain town-sponsored events. Martha Brooks already been through this, so do we have a motion to approve ordinance 17-008?
Motion approved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Item N is first reading of ordinance 17-009, amending the Kingston Springs Municipal Code, Title 8, Chapter 2, definition of alcoholic beverages, consumption of alcoholic beverages on premises, and public consumption and possession of alcoholic beverages on public property. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 17-009
Motion to approve.
on first reading? Second. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item O is appointment to the Sign and Construction Appeals Board. We have an opening on this board. If anyone has any suggestions as to somebody you would know that would like to serve on this board, I would be happy to know who that is. But as of now, we don't have anyone. We only have one opening, if I'm correct, and it would be Lance Smith's position. Correct. So that's rarely, it's if you know somebody that's interested, it's a not very often meeting board. So, all right. Item P is resolution 07005, resolution authorizing mayor to request building inspection services from Cheatham County, Tennessee. This is just essentially for hopefully a small portion of time while we deal with this thing. I think we have an option possibly to have someone more local fill this position in the future, but people still want to have permits and code inspections and stuff like that in the meantime. So do we have a motion to pass resolution 07-005?
Motion to pass resolution 07-005.
Second?
What's 17-005?
Yep. It should be 1-7, I believe, John.
You're correct, that was my mistake.
Typo there.
Motion to approve resolution
You were right. You were
17-005.
right. You were right. You said it correctly. All right. Second.
Second.
Or any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 12, surplus items. We have one battery backup for the court clerk to surplus. Do we have a motion to surplus?
Motion to surplus.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Other. I don't believe we have any other unless someone has some other that I don't know about.
No other.
No other. Okay. And then, of course, the reminders, as usual, they're all on here for you to read. Oh, yeah, you do have Dinner on Main down there, which is good. If you haven't bought your tickets for Dinner on Main, they're going quick, so. They're going quick. I think we're at how many now? You said 41?
41, yes.
41. So that leaves us,
Are we selling 100?
and we got 100 to sell, so, or we got 100 total. So if you haven't bought your tickets, get them quick. All right. Well, anyway, that's it. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.